Well, that was a very dark ending to this episode. Now, that ending, I'm quite surprised. I really am surprised we had that type of ending to this episode. I'm going to clarify if you don't really understand what that ending means. The villagers, even after all the events that happened in this episode, with, the horror killing all the villagers and all sorts of stuff going down in this episode, with Leon and Herman just going around trying to discover who was the horror, killing the horror like wooden statue and stuff like that, the villagers still continue to do their ceremony, their ritual. And it shows you that it doesn't matter what they went through, they'll stick to their superstition. That right there just has a lot of weight in this episode. This episode actually has a lot of meaning with the overall theme and the development of our character, our main male character, Leon. Now, one thing I will say, there's instantly a massive connection between Leon and this boy. This kid in this episode that was introduced, and you saw him running around this entire episode, with this wooden statue, and it was revealed that he wanted to get revenge for his father's death. Like, the village had a ceremony with his father, and since the father was going to turn them into the church, they decided to kill him, and sadly enough, the boy actually had to watch his father beaten in front of him. That gore, holy hell. The violence and gore in that scene, that was just graphic. I like it, but damn, that just, wow. Usually you'd see something like that freaking censored. Talking to you, terraformers. Anyways, with that entire bit of this episode, the kid has an instant connection with Leon. Leon, as we know, wants some form of revenge too. Even at the beginning of this episode, it's mentioned like, revenge will destroy you. That's what, his father says to him. Revenge will destroy you, Leon. And so, the main theme of this episode was the actual connection between those two. For instance, how, they both technically want revenge. Because, as we know, Leon's mother was killed and burned at the stake because she was a witch. And technically, you can consider that entire part of the story as superstition and overall just, them placing a ceremony to blame other people for what is going on around them. For instance, like horrors and stuff and demons popping up. And that has a direct connection to what happened to the boy's father. And so, a very deep episode. It actually has a lot of deep meaning to it if you actually look at it. And I was shocked. I was really shocked. This series deserves a lot of respect for that deep meaning of this episode. And personally, the voice acting really nailed this episode. I felt like the voice acting was beautifully done. And the atmosphere they gave off with the music. The atmosphere was probably one of the best parts that set this episode by far from the other episodes. It was a really damn good episode because of the atmosphere. And, the way they actually drew the backgrounds and stuff, the creepy atmosphere involved with the mist, and the subtle details with the statue with blood on it, stuff like that, it made the overall vibe of this episode a lot better. I love it. I really, really love it. I specifically love that scene where you saw the statue that was portraying as the boy leading him into near, the swamp to kill those kids. That entire scene was beautifully done with the atmosphere. I'm just gonna say it right now. Now, for the most part, this episode actually has me worried about something. I want to say right now, this episode may have been beautiful, and I love the episode, but it has me worried. I'm scared we are going to be getting into the Monster of the Week type theme if it continues this, because judging by the pacing of the series, it is going rather slow. I'm not saying slow pacing is bad, I'm just saying, judging by the pacing, it is going slow. And I'm worried that we are going to be getting Monster of the Week. Every single week we'll have like a new village or a new town or a new setup, and we'll have it to where a monster has to be taken down each episode. And I hope it doesn't actually go into that. I really hope this series doesn't, because it does have a lot of potential. But if they could continue with the aspects of deep themes and deep morals to learn from the episodes like they did with this episode, I think I could live with Monster of the Week if they, like I said, retain the themes that they showed in this episode. If they don't, however, then that's another story. But the episode, very good. Loved it. Really loved it. And I loved the art style of this episode. It looked really nice. The mood, atmosphere, everything was great. And I can't wait for next week's episode. Seriously, this is why I love this series. I did not expect to love it this much, but it's a damn good series and deserves a lot more credit than it gets. Tell me your thoughts in the comments below, how you felt about this week's episode of Garo. Did you enjoy it? Did you hate it? Did you notice those subtle themes in this episode? Did you notice those connections? What did you feel about the ending with the village? Like, the village continuing to do their superstition and ceremony even after all the events that happened in this episode. Let me know your thoughts. I love you all so much. You have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Please be safe, Chibi out.